Hello and welcome to Intuitive Clarifications with Natasha. And Regan's going to be here. He texted me and said that he's going to be a few minutes late. So thank you for being here. And I'm so grateful you're here. So today's conversation is going to be about naysayers. We all have naysayers around us. Many of us have naysayers that are in our relationships. I know that, I lived with one for many years in my lifetime, because my husband with his alcoholism and that kind of thing. So it was one of those things that we had to negotiate through that. And, one thing that I did was I read this really cool book. And let me see if I can find it here. It's Oh, shoot. I think I moved it. It's Barbara Stanley's Overcoming Under Earnings. Barbara Stanley, Overcoming Under Earnings. And, I read this one section of it. Oh, God, I wish I could show you the title. Here it is. Here it is. Overcoming Under Earnings by Barbara Stanley. And, there's a chapter in this, and it was about naysayers. And when I read this book, here's Regan, and I'm going to let him in once he gets himself all settled in here, that, it had a chapter on naysayers. And it really turned my world around because of the fact that, when you turn those negative thoughts, negative knowings, negative moments in our life and turn them around to be more positive, it's interesting because I know that, when I read this book, it was like, oh, my husband, life, my dyslexia was a naysayer and told me I couldn't. But when you have those things that say you can't, it sure makes sure that you know what you're wanting to have. So here's Regan. Welcome, Regan. Yay. Just a second. I'm going to click you on here and then click you on there. There we go. Hi, Regan. It's been a blessing to see you again.
Nice to see you too. Let me adjust this just a little bit here. There we go. Whoops. So, yeah, I was excited when I saw your topic of naysayers, and I want you to educate me. Like you were just saying, because aren't naysayers? There's people that tell you you can't do what you think you can do, or they're all negative about everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that way.
Yeah.
And then, so a lot of times, if somebody who we admire or we feel kind of obligated to, like a mom or dad or somebody like that, and they say, "Oh, you'll never be an artist," or don't play professional golf because your chances of making it are 1,000,000 to 1. A lot of times we succumb to that, or we don't follow our dreams because we listen to the naysayers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that just undermines us. And I know for me that every time that I've, like my business, my intuitive work that I do,
Yeah.
and he meant it very honestly. I don't want to think that, people are talking, I'm not trying to talk bad about my husband because now he's my one of my greatest backers, because one time I had somebody who called me a fraud, you know,
Oh.
yeah, and she was one of those, I'm not gonna name the name, but she was one of those people,
Yeah.
quotation marks here. And, and I gave her her refund. I said, "I'm sorry I didn't service you well. This is what I'm getting," and I, it was the end of her long day. It was the end of my long day. So we probably both weren't our better. But yet at the same time, I always call in my integrity. I always call in this. And I went out to my husband and I said, that was an interesting session. She called me a fraud. And he goes, you're the last person I would call a fraud. I mean, he says, and you're not angry at her? I go, no, why would I? There's something to learn about it. There's something to negotiate about it.
Yeah.
I mean, and so with that he really kind of has turned around. Oh God, thank you. My prayers have been answered with him turning around. And now he's like, okay, you have a session, go have it. It's like, instead of going, well, it's taken away from me, that narcissistic kind of tendencies that people have. We all have narcissism in us, but it's like sometimes we get a little selfish with it, and some, and now it's like, if there's something that's a naysayer, I put that energy behind me and I push it forward.
Yeah.
you know are you sure you want to do this? Yes, I'm sure. So then you kind of get your, you get your running shoes back on, and you kind of, because maybe this naysayer comes into your life when you are kind of getting a little slumpy, a little disorganized, a little you're just the uns, I'm unmotivated, I'm unhappy, I'm
Yeah.
do I really want to do this? And it's like these naysayers moments, I'm going to call them, not necessarily people, but moments come into our lives, usually at that time where we needed to kind of get our little shot in the arm to say, are you sure you want to do it? And if
Yeah.
we can treat those naysaying moments like that, as a shot in the arm of, "Are you sure? Are you sure you want to?" And
Yeah.
it's like,
I wonder why it is. See, I don't think it's just me because these movies are popular, but the movies that I seem to really get involved in the most are the people who fight against all odds to get something done when everybody says it's impossible. And I think that's something within each one of us that wishes we could do that, to be that way, because I think it's really hard for people to, when you're put down or people tell you time after time, oh, you shouldn't do that. Uh, and then they never try, and then they regret it, for the rest of their life.
mhm,
I'll have to admit, sometimes when parents say those things, well, sometimes they're right. Like it's saying, hey, if you want to be an artist, or you're going to be like, I'm thinking of one of my clients, he wanted to be a golf professional, and so he was practicing and practicing and doing really well. And everybody was saying, hey, your chances of making it on tour are like about 1,000 to 1, or even more than that.
mhm,
Uh, and But he decided to do it, and he got on to one of, at least up to the level of these minor golf tours where you had a chance to, you had to get your own sponsors, pay your own expenses, but then,
mhm,
to make a little money. So at least he got that far. But then he meets a woman who's older than him, that's got a couple of kids, and falls in love. And then she's telling him, if you want to be with me, you got to give up that golf dream, because now if you get marry me, we got a couple of kids and all that. So he made that choice, but you know, that was his choice, still, you know,
mhm.
but yeah, because especially people in the arts, there's people in the arts, unless you're like really fortunate, you're not going to make a lot of money. But sometimes when you got to do it, you just got to do it. Like when I was in Hollywood for 12 years doing movies, um, it was a blast. It was really fun. I'm glad that I did it. But uh, I thought I would have done a lot better than I did in it, because I was a comedian already for 30 years.
Mhm.
I thought I would fit right in with that group, but it was apples and oranges. It wasn't the same kind of thing. But I did it for 12 years, and now I kind of cross it off my bucket list. You know, um, you know,
But
uh,
that's the thing, is we got to remember that life is a journey, and even though, I was on the next level soul, I was on coast to coast, those were full moment picture, it's like me being on the cruise that I went and saw the Mendenhall Glacier. What That's my maiden name, is Mendenhall. And even as a kid, I wanted to go see the Mendenhall Glacier.
oh,
Finally was able to go see it. But then at the same time, the cruise wasn't the most glorious thing that we did. It's like there's actually a murder on the cruise, so we kind of didn't get to see the glaciers. There was just this like
gosh,
domino effect that happened. But that's the thing, is that people don't really realize that, these naysaying moments are, you know, to teach us a little bit about something. Like, I was talking to one of the students today, And she was in tears. She's one of those that just trusts me. She comes up and hugs me every day. She just, Mrs. Venter, I just love you. And her mom works for me, so I have permission to say I love you back. It's like, you know, and she was in tears. She goes, life is so hard. She's a third grader. Life is so hard. And I'm like going, I know, sweetie, it is. It is. Life is hard. But don't let life, I told her, don't let life get your smile away. Don't let life take your joy away. Don't let life get you down, and it really can. And these naysaying moments really can get us. Just like there was like, the on the cruise, there was a murder. I sent love to that person who got, it was a woman who was in an abusive marriage, and it was her anniversary. And I sent love to the children. I sent love to the family that was on the cruise with them. And, I just sent so much love to them. And yet I still had to dance in the wind. I still, I wanted to enjoy going and see the Mendenhall Glacier. It's like I couldn't dumb myself down for that naysaying moment, because naysaying moments can look a lot of different ways. It's not always somebody saying you can't do it. It's like that's not always the way that naysaying moments come across.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to look at the naysaying moments. Are you sure you really want to go that road that way? Maybe you need to go this other way a little bit. Change your perception, change your trajectory just a little bit, like you doing your acting, or the guy doing the golf. He did it, he tried it, he went with it. But the thing is, though, when that flower fully bloomed and that naysaying moment came in where there was a choice to be made, sometimes we have to look at those choices and really see, because I know that there's been some naysaying moments that, that have been in conversation in my life. And I really looked at, should I continue doing this business? Should I really, do what I'm doing? And then I went, how could I not do it? This is me. I do it 24/7. How could I not do it?
Yeah.
And it really got me into that layer of it's not the business. It's about me. It's about me being me.
In that book, did he give a definition of naysayers of what in there?
Let me see if I can find it. I don't want to try looking.
Yeah.
Because it's there's a lot of things that she had. This book changed my world, and I did 3 book studies on it, and it changed me. I don't know if it changed Veronica. You're watching, I know. Did it change? You got a chance to read a little bit of it. I know you were in one of my book studies, but there's chapters in this. It's not about money. It's overcoming under earning, and it's not necessarily about money. It's about your life. It's about stepping into your life. It's about stepping into your empowerment. And I'm actually thinking about doing another book study. So if anybody's interested in doing a book study with me, I'd be grateful to start another book study. Just email me at Natasha at Intuitive Clarifications, and I would be glad to do this again.
So what's one of the couple of the major things that you learned from it that you've shifted in the way that you're running your life from reading this book?
The naysayer.
Okay.
My personal naysayer, my dyslexic part of me, find a way. I kind of got find a way. If I'm meant to do it, find a way. Also, there was a chapter in here. Chapter 3 was like a two, it should have been 2 chapters, because there was so much emotionalness that I really got how much shame I was carrying from other people's decisions being made.
You mean other people making decisions for you?
Yes. And decisions that were being made around me, that it was a rippling effect, that I ended up having to make a decision that wasn't my greater decision maker. And then also too, in like one of my book studies, she was saying that, she was a bartender. And she said that there's other people that would come in being bartenders and waitresses, and they say, I'm going to be making $400 in tips tonight. I mean, it was just a statement they made. And she'd go, God, I really hope I can make $400 in tips. Jeez, I really, really want to make 400. She was like him hawing around about it. And they just claimed it. Guess who made the $400 in tips and more?
Yeah.
Because they claimed it.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that this book kind of stirred up in a lot of us, was that how do we think about ourselves? How do we negotiate ourselves? And I don't want to just stick with that book, because life is about the book. There's the story of the book, and who are we and what we're doing, but there's always a part of us that's a naysayer in ourselves.
That's
Oh,
true. That's true.
you're stupid. You can't do that.
But
Go
yeah,
ahead.
there's that whisper from our subconscious sometimes. Like, I don't know if this is right, but thinking of one of my clients whose father told her when she was very young that she was stupid and would, never go to college and amount to anything. So she took that on as a belief, because she was like 5, 6 years old at the time, and the dad was trying to help her with homework, and he got frustrated because she couldn't understand something. So out of frustration, he just says, "Oh, you're stupid. You're never going to amount to any." And that was the dad's frustration. But at 5 years old, you can't discern that your dad's
Yeah, exactly.
and you take that in as truth. And so that naysayer voice, when she was time to go to college, just said, "Oh, don't bother. You're stupid. You're not
Mhm.
going to do good in college. That way." Um, so yeah, I think maybe people can start thinking in their life who was a naysayer to them. Like, what decision did they make to go along with the naysayer that they wish that they hadn't, or have regrets now that they didn't follow their dream.
Mhm.
The only reason people should quit a dream is when they themselves figure out that it's just the wrong path for them, after they've tried everything that they can. you know, 'Cause sometimes that's
It's
just,
just not meant to be. It's just not meant to be.
yeah, but not because somebody else tells you to quit. You gotta run it, run it
Mhm.
till the end. That's kind of what it did with me in Hollywood. After 12 years, I just kind of went, well, this has been fun, but I've proven there's not a lot of money here unless you're, you know, super, super lucky. Matter of fact, anybody thinking about going to Hollywood, I can tell you the whole scoop of what happens. And, because so many people, they get on a bus from, say, Kentucky or Tennessee, leave home, and some of those people became famous actors,
Yes.
but about, 1,000th of a chance of it happening. And then I watched over the years so many people's dreams getting crushed, because it was so different than they imagined it was going to be in their mind. Uh,
Mhm.
and others just like me, though, that it was something we had to follow. And then because we were following our dream and that wasn't exactly for us, then spirit's going to kind of say, okay, you had fun doing that. Now I got something else for you to do, you know, and then you kind of
Exactly.
be happy with that. I've never been happier in my life now doing this work that I'm doing by assisting people and visiting the afterlife.
Mhm.
Matter of fact, the reason I was a minute late there, it's Patty and I's 10th anniversary of our first date today. Yeah. And I wanted to make it real special for her. So I was out getting some stuff and making arrangements for things. So I'm glad I had my alarm set. I had it set for 3:30, and then when it went off, because I'd gotten so into that, I'm sorry, but I almost forgot for a moment, and so
Yeah. No, I got it.
so I was 32 minutes from home, so that's why I was a couple minutes late.
You're good. You're good. I so appreciated the communication. And that's the thing is that, it's like, you know, coming around to this, it's like, if you didn't believe in you, you probably and Patty wouldn't have gotten together.
Yeah,
Because there was probably some parts of you that said, I'm not her material. I don't know if we can make it. I don't know what's going to happen here. It's like we have to almost be vulnerable with ourselves to really look at and observe, where is the naysaying moment and where is life telling us it's time to move and step into it.
Yeah. 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 That's good. I was, I was lucky. I feel a little guilty that, I didn't follow my dreams when I had, 5 people to take care of, 4 children and the wife, and thinking about if I was a comedian full time, how hard that was going to be. And, but then when we divorced, friendly divorce, but divorced, and I
Mhm.
was by myself, had no responsibility of anybody but me, and it was easy to make the choice, and I did very well. So I don't know. Part of me is, I think it is, everything just for me ended up the way it was supposed to be, because th- by me, having to earn enough money to for 5 people, to live a comfortable life. The lessons that I've learned when I look back now were invaluable to me, as far as toughening me up, showing me what hard work was and dedication, and I felt good about myself that I was able to provide. You know, here's what's funny though. It's like, um, with all of my this warehouse that I had and my mortgage and all this stuff, I had to make about $15,000 a month, and some months I was making 14,800, and that $200 would cause so much pressure because eventually it all worked out and everything. But then as soon as I was on my own, my income went down to like 3,000 a month, or 4,000, because I didn't. It just kind of naturally went down to taking care of just me, you know, that way. So, interesting how things are.
Isn't
But
it? I know that I had somebody who was like, who said to me the other day about how that, she was they were in a meeting with a bunch of people um who said that they climbed Mount Everest. They had these dreams of Mount Everest and going to this country and doing that and this other, and she goes, and I haven't really done any of that. And I was feeling kind of low on myself. There again is the naysayer. You can't do it. Why do you think you should be able to do that? And I told her, I said, I want you to stop right now. In the short time that I've known you and the conversations we've had, I have witnessed a woman who's climbed Mount Everest metaphorically about 3 times.
wow,
You know, or swam the canal or did whatever you want to do. You've already done it in your life's journey. So be proud of what you've done. You may not have been able to see the view from Mount Everest, but you sure have done the work to get there.
yeah,
And it was exactly what she needed to hear, because we don't, we may have these goals of climbing Mount Everest and that kind of stuff, but it's kind of like when you ask God, for patience, like if you're a doctor and ask for patience, and what do they give you? What does God give you and the universe give you? Oh, I'm sitting here bored. Oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do? Oh, you asked for patience, didn't you? you know,
and
or you get busy, so busy that you lose patience with people. It's like, so it's like you got to be careful what you're thinking about sometimes.
I know. Well, it's funny now because I think this has come up, in the 3 years that we are, for almost 4 years now. We've been having a, thing with this, the podcast, and me being on it.
Oh,
It's,
that's right.
it's
That's
come up.
right. We're on like 4 year, aren't we?
That's just goes by fast, doesn't it? Uh,
Hmm.
so I think 2 other times, so it's not too many times to tell it, but, it gives you some perspective of how difficult it is to be patient. I mean, that's one virtue that, can change a person's whole personality in life if they learn patience. You know,
Hmm.
so we had, another therapist told me the story of, he had a person in the Life Between Lives where we, and everybody out there, what I do is I help people achieve a deep state of trance, which most people can do. And in that state, we have a process that allows you to, have, it's like a near death experience without the death part. You actually
Hmm.
get to go to the afterlife for a few hours and back. and we've done this with about 70,000 people. Well, one of the women said she's in trance, and she finds out on the other side that she came down in this life to learn patience. And sorry about that. It's in my pocket here. Hang on a second here. Another one of those robocalls. Oh, the drive. Anyway, so her purpose, she's before counsel on the other side, and she's confirming that the reason she was born is she was just working on patience. Like she's been telling me how difficult she's got, with 4 kids and a husband and stuff, that, man, she has been working on it. So in trance, we asked her, says, well, have you been working on this before? And in trance, and she says, yeah, for about 500 Earth years. So, for those of you out there, don't feel so bad if you don't quite have mastered patience. Just keep working on it. The next step. So,
well, like the 3rd grade young one that I was talking to, life is so hard, and that's like, yes. And we're here to learn and experience and discern who do we want to be. And sometimes we have to go against that part of us that doesn't believe that we can be what we're supposed to be.
Yeah. Here's an interesting thing. Now, there's a man named Matthew. Oh my gosh. No, I can't remember his last name now. Anyway, he's a real estate guru. It's what Patty goes to, and he's his father and his brother are 2 of the best known real estate teachers in the world. Where they teach people how to be success. He branched off into. He got tired of doing it like it's just a grind. Do it for the money. Blah blah blah. And he has an aspect of helping realtors and people like that do it with a spiritual aspect. Of instead of being in the grind of push through spirit, you allow your business to come to you, and that. I forgot where I was going with this. Oh my God.
That's okay.
What were we saying just before I said that?
I'm moving on too. About the woman that was in a trance and she was learning about patience.
Yeah, about patience. So yes. So what he does, he has this process. He has people get up on stage and he does muscle testing, and he asks them questions about God, and people, it's interesting because across the board, no matter what religion they are or anything, and when they're on stage, it blows your mind because when he does this and it gets to the subconscious and they all answer the same yes and no's, even though they have different backgrounds. But one of the things he'll ask is, he'll say this. He says, we were born to learn things, and they're weak. And he would say, we're born blah blah blah. We're born to make money, weak. And then when he gets to we're born to have experiences, everybody stays strong. So that's kind of blows their mind a little bit. In other words, not to differentiate between negative and positive experiences, because all the experiences we're here to experience,
Exactly.
And that's where they stay strong, and they'll, even people that don't believe like in past lives or something, people that from these different religions, they go, no, that's not right. When it's just blows your mind because they're on stage, he'll says, you only live one life. They're weak. You live many lives. Everybody stays strong, and it really is interesting how this is with the muscle testing, how the subconscious and everything has the answers, to things. And I think that's when some people do that automatic writing. I've had a few clients that do that, and like Neil Diamond, is it Neil Diamond Walsh?
And I've done it too several times.
Yeah. And he did that automatic writing. I have a client that's done that, and what we've kind of figured out is, when you get into that state of allowing, and you ask with an open heart, and you start writing, your subconscious or higher self is going to tell you pretty much anything you want to know,
Exactly. Exactly.
Now for people,
How are some of the ways that you would think that you can negotiate through the naysaying moments?
um, well, I guess one thing would be to ask yourself the right questions and saying, okay, am I choosing am I choosing not to follow what I think is my life stream because of pressure from somebody outside myself, you
Hmm.
know? And if I can answer that yes, then you got to think, wait a minute, I can't do that. I got to follow my dream. Uh, am I not following my dream because of my own self negative beliefs? You know, um, and that's like one thing that I found out. I've always had this thing where I thought I want to write a book. Like it just seemed like, oh, I got to write a book. But I never did. I never did until I was living in Mexico for the 2 years, and I had a therapist client to let me stay in his beach house where I did therapy for him. I thought
Hmm.
it was going to be for a couple of weeks. I ended up being there 2 years in his beach house in Mexico. Not a lot to do down there except enjoy the ocean and
And
go.
write a book.
So that's when I thought, hey, this is a good time to write a book. But then, no. But then I remembered the EFT, the tapping, you know, doing this tapping, which helps to take away those subconscious blocks. So
Hmm.
I started a notepad, and I says, okay, why am I not writing a book when I really, part of me really wants to do it? And then things just started flooding in. And the first thing was, I don't think I'm smart enough. You know, the second thing was, who wants to read a book about anything I have? What do I have to say that anybody's
Yeah.
going to read about? The third thing, which was the biggest one, is you never finish what you start. You know, you start projects and you get in them and then you never finish it. So why start it to go writing a book if your mind's saying, well, you're never going
You're
to
not
finish
going to
it.
finish it. Hmm.
So that's when each one of those issues I started tapping on. It's like, okay, even though I have this belief that I never finish what I start, I love and accept myself. Even though I never finish what I start, I feel like an idiot sometimes because I never finish it. I love and accept myself. And all of a sudden, it's just those things just started seeming not so much like a block. And I said, okay, I'm going to start writing the next day. And I started writing and I wrote for, oh my God, I wrote 3 books in about 4 months and published them, you know,
Wow.
and I just couldn't stop writing, but I had to identify, what was keeping me from doing this. And then with the EFT for people out there, EFT emotional freedom technique, look it up on YouTube. There's 1,000 videos on it. Even on my website, there's if you go there, you'll see videos on it, and it just helps you to take the negative energy away from negative roadblocks that we have in our mind, or
Hmm.
traumas that we have, and that sort of thing. So
Yeah,
now,
because a lot of times, sorry for interrupting, but sometimes a lot of those traumas are our naysayers. A lot
yeah,
of those, yeah, a lot of like if we've been raped, that takes our self-worth away sometimes,
yeah,
and that's our naysayer.
yeah, yeah, and but look at don't you sometimes the biggest naysayers are we always have a few people in our life that always want to look at the glass half empty instead of half full. I would say
Pessimist.
a lot of people out there, and including myself sometimes, but more times than not now, I'm looking at things. I
Mhm,
know in doing the spiritual work that if you really want to do something, you can do it. You know,
mhm.
and I know that it's something in me that's keeping me back now. That I have to work with. Um, yeah. So I'm. It's funny. I was thinking the other day because I'm like, what, almost 75 now, and I'm just kind of getting the hang of things. And I think, why does God make it that way to where you have to wait till you're about ready to die before you start realizing what you want to do in this life?
Yeah,
And that,
exactly.
but that seems to be the way. Like most of the people that come for life between life sessions that go to the afterlife and back in this process I do, most of them are 60s, 70s, 50s, 60s, 70s. So it seems to be that before we really, really get deep into our missions, a lot of times it's just like, you got to go through grade school, high school, college, uh, grad school and all that, and all those years of study, and then you're ready to get out and do your
Mm-hmm.
occupation. To do this spiritual work, a lot of times it seems to think that the school time for a lot of people is they don't graduate and get ready to do that spiritual work until they're later in life. You know, that made me think about why there was such reverence in different societies for the wise men. You know, the older generations that have the wisdom.
The
And
elderships. Mm-hmm.
you know, so then it didn't make me feel so bad. I figure, okay, I'm probably right where where I'm supposed to be.
I know, but it's kind of I'm feeling that way too in a way that the time is getting shorter than longer, and it's like I'm ready for life to be what I've been waiting for it to be for my whole life. It's like I've always had this calling, to be out there and do things and give support to life to people so that they can find their own worthiness and blessings
Yeah.
and and that's the thing is that every time when somebody said, "Why are you still doing this?" And I go, "I cannot not do it." I know that's a double negative, but I cannot not do it.
Yeah. In the political arena right now, Trump is the naysayer, and Kamala is the let's look forward. Let's look at things we can do. Let's make changes. For
Mhm.
whatever side people are on listening to this. I mean, um, you know, I don't get it, but in a way, I do. You know, um, so I'm trying to be neutral about this because when I listen to Trump, it's just everything is horrible, everything is bad, every person is bad except for him, kind of thing.
Mhm.
And it's just sad now just listening to all that, and I just think, I'm sure there's some good in him and that, and if he would just kind of turn it around and use the skills that he has, he could probably, do some good, instead of
Mhm.
tearing everything down. So there's that contrast there. So now everybody is going to be deciding, do you want to go with the person who's saying everything is hell and our country's ruined and everything is bad, or someone that says, yeah, we're in a mess right now, but we as a society, we always get out of it. We can get out of it. We're going to make this better. This is just a little glitch right now.
Mhm. But that's part of this destruction to creation that we're going through right now.
Yeah,
Is that things are going to be discombobulated. Things we're finding our own truths, and that's why I wanted to have the show today and this topic because there's so many naysayers out there about our government and the two choices we have and other governments going on and the people coming into our country and there's a lot of things that are just thrown out there with judgment
yeah,
and it's really sad that it's like I I'm not going to go there because that's not what my intention of my show is to go there. But I just want people to know that no matter what they're doing and that it is about praying for the greater good to come out. And that's one thing that I've always prayed for is the greater good come out of it because of the fact that there is enough naysaying out there right now.
yeah,
The naysayers to Kamala and naysayers to Trump, that it's like there's the naysayers to everything. But
yeah,
that's the thing is that we kind of have to say, well, that's your truth, not necessarily mine.
yeah.
I've said that even to my husband in my own head when he said something to me, it's like, well, that's your truth, not mine. You
Yeah.
know?
I heard something that because sometimes we get so frustrated sometimes with all the naysayers, and we can let ourselves get really pulled into that if we don't watch out. And I heard someone say that what's happening now in the world is all this naysaying and all this negative stuff, in a sense, is kind of needs to happen because the tree's been shaken now. And one thing Donald Trump's been really good at is holding up a mirror to the world to like a divine sandpaper, for everybody to kind of look at themselves and say, hey, am I a naysayer or am I a positive thinker? And it's all kind of coming out on which side you're on. And someone said that as the earth shifts into a higher vibration now, It's like we're all still going to be on the same planet, all going to still be here, but it's like there's plexiglass between different I would say different degrees of ascension in a way. So you can be on this side of a plexiglass looking at people over there that are all naysayers and bad and all that kind of thing. But you can make a choice to not go to that other side of that plexiglass. Just let them be over there, you know, and
Mhm.
the plexiglass keeps you from being affected. So you can still live your life and your life can be joyful and glorious, even though the people on the other side of that plexiglass are trying to pull the world down, you know. So
Exactly. It's going to be our perception.
yeah,
Like I gave the example the other day. You know, it's going to be like, you know, if somebody cuts you off, do you damn them? Do you judge them? Or do you say, well, I don't really want you to do that again to me, but I'm sending you love. I'm
yeah,
really sending you love, and I hope your day is better. I hope your day is better, but please do not do that to me again. You know, it's that boundary. It's those boundaries that we're about having. And that's the thing is that I tell, you know, everybody that I can, it's up to us how we negotiate our world, our
yeah,
world. And, you know, being in the moment where I was that, you know, I had the one of the debates on, and then my mother-in-law and my husband were here, and there's like conflict going on. And I was in the middle, and all of a sudden I saw an energy split
oh.
in my house. I felt like there was almost a rip in
In your energy,
yeah, in the energy of the home, the rip, and I'm like, that's what's going to happen. That And then I turned off the debate, and I basically said I haven't liked really who I've had to vote for the last couple of times, you know. It's like it's and so then things started calming down, and then there was the healing. So in other words, you know, if we're going to be in disharmony, if we're going to be in conflict, if we're going to be in that negative you know, moments, you know, like I got out of I was sitting in a parking lot the other day, and this guy, there was a cart that was by the parking spot that he chose, you know, one of those carts that people just left there. And he pulled up, he had plenty of room, and he grabbed on it. These freaking people, they don't do it. We need to go back to the Civil War. And he ranted and raved all the way. I heard him even, I was sitting in the parking lot. I could still hear him as he was walking into the store, ranting and raving and just these freaking people, you know, and it was like, you know, and all I said was, isn't it interesting people's perceptions? You know, and I ask for love and kindness for him, you know, that he can find more peace in his heart instead of this anger and frustration, because that's going to be the difference in the third dimension and being able to go to the fifth dimension, the eighth dimension, the 16th dimension, back down the third dimension, up to the fifth dimension, you know, all these different things. Is that how do we have perception with these people? How do we negotiate around them, honor them, but around them so that they're not part of our world? They're not part of our energy field, if that makes sense.
yeah,
You know, we have to be honorable of our energy field.
yeah,
And you know, when we kind of can say, you know, it's like, I honor you for your truth, thank you for what you just said to me, I'll check in with things. And then you discern what your truth is. You have to discern what your truth is. Even in the show, whoever's listening, I would really ask that you find your own truth. Regan and I's perception is just, we're saying things to hopefully help you find your truth.
yeah.
You know, so
This
go ahead.
this you know, whole political thing is it's a test for me, you know, to try to take a neutral or middle of the road, you know, kind of look, you know, let say, okay, you know, spirit, you know, whatever the world needs, if we if we need to be if we need to be you know, pulled down more before we can go up, then okay, you know, that's okay too. Or if this is the time when the shift changes and we go back to a more positive thing after 10
Mhm.
or 12 years of negative, you know, I don't know when that shift is going to be. But the thing that makes me
It's
feel,
happening now. It's actually happening right now. I
yeah,
mean, it's been happening for years, But it's almost, it's got a it's sped up a little bit, and it's been a little bit more discerning on its integrity and lessons that or the experiences that we're going through, to kind of get us more aware of it. Just like me having that experience with this young little girl about life is so hard, and I looked her in the eyes and I had that moment with her, because that moment is, she may not remember it, but there's something that shifted in her if she allows it,
Yeah.
you
That would
know?
be great, wouldn't it, if they taught that early in school to children that, you know, um, uh, taught them that you can be happy even when things are difficult. You can make that choice. Life doesn't always go real smooth. That there's bumps and things. It's all about learning, and
Mhm.
and the fact that there's ways of learning joy in the middle of anything, no matter how difficult that it is, and just to open them up with that possibility and let them know, because we all have this illusion where you know this illusion that everybody can be happy or something, but people don't understand what happy is. Like, I think even with issue when I'm going through issues and having problems, even when I'm depressed, I'm happy, because I have this this overview. Even though my mind and my body's worn out and everything, that greater part of myself is still walking with me, saying it's okay. You're just depressed right now. It's going to be okay. Life is good. Life is blessed. Look at all the blessings that you have. you know um
Exactly, exactly, and that's one thing that I find that I go into is gratitude, and I try to become as neutral as I can and centered in myself, that centered in me, to know what my truth is,
yeah.
because of the fact that life can be turning around me. And that's one thing that the people around me have really observed, is that even though things were so negative around me for so many years, that my house still felt good. you know my energy field was maybe a little bit taxed, but I wasn't down, I wasn't depressed, I wasn't depressed, I wasn't pushed down. I actually wanted to come up, but I would have those mantras that I would say, your truth is your truth, mine is mine. It's like, I honor you for what you know, but can I discern mine a little bit more here? There's those things that we go through and negotiate, that it's like we really need to find out. There's so many things with AI right now that aren't truths.
yeah.
Like, there's been a couple videos where there's like a woman fighting alligators, and pretty soon she's morphing into riding a motorcycle. It's like, and that's the thing, is that I'm even afraid to Google, does so and so have a phone number? I'm going to their website actually and seeing if they have a phone number, because it's like, not everybody, you can't trust a lot of things nowadays.
um yeah, and I'm wondering what the spiritual lesson is in all this with the AI now, when you can't really trust anything that you hear or see 100%, because of the fact that it could be AI generated, somehow. So what are we left with? We're left with our own discernment of having to
Mhm.
figure out for ourselves if it's true or not, but not taking the word of anybody. Now that we can take in
Exactly.
that information, and then we have another process to go through now of looking that information and saying, okay, can I trust that information? Whereas before, if it came from a certain source, we would just trust it. Like they had this AI generated thing that came out on the internet, and it showed Taylor Swift saying, vote for Trump, with her on it, even though says, no, don't vote for Trump, but it went out all over the internet, and it was just AI generated. So um,
And I'm taking that as kind of a naysaying moment, and a negative-ish type of statement, saying, because the fact that, like my friend who was editing my newsletters, she took a break for a little while, and she thought I was going to get AI to replace her, and no, I proofread my own stuff. I reread my own stuff. I negotiated my own stuff. Everything on my videos is me. I don't even use filters on my, because I want to stay as true as I can with what I'm doing. Yes, maybe the filters on my phone are changing, me. I'm not into every details of my
Yeah.
my my thing, but that's one thing that I've it's time for me to be my truth in this lifetime. And AI is really discerning me to make sure that I am staying in the truth that I'm speaking, that I'm getting those downloads to give to others. And if they want to take them, take them. If they don't, they don't. But at least I am staying in my integrity to be me. And it's an interesting dance. It's really an interesting process.
But and then talking about naysayers too, we have to remember, like people listening to this, and see it down the road. Look at yourself too, and see what you consider. Each person, as they look at themselves, are they a naysayer, or are in other words, who have they tried to be a naysayer to try to tell someone they shouldn't be doing something because of something that's wrong with themselves, or
Mhm.
something like that. Because I think in a way, some of us too, we hate to think we're the bad guys sometime, or but we do that, too sometimes, where we have to really think, are we killing somebody's dream? Like that's so sad sometimes when you see a child has a certain dream about being this, and the parents just say, no, you can't do that, or it's going to be bad and everything, and you feel so bad for that person that has all that excitement and everything, about doing something. But I believe too, like they're saying, is that if you have something that you want to do, then just where the joy and happiness comes in life is just doing something that you really have a passion for to the best of your ability, without any what do you call it, without any expectation of the outcome.
Mhm.
Just do what you love to do, and do it to the best of your ability. And it seems that that's the best way to do things. um,
Exactly. Well, that's one thing that, like, my Facebook and Instagram got hacked.
oh,
Um so I haven't had Facebook, and I actually tried to sign into Facebook, and it won't let me have an account. I need to go to an like another computer that I haven't gotten on Facebook with, to see if that it's not my algorithm on my phone that's triggering it because of me being hacked. But it was like I started over a new Instagram account. Yes, it's Natasha Venter IC, but instead of an underscore, it's a dot. And um and what I'm finding is that before I had thousands of followers, but still only had maybe 100 people to watch my videos.
wow.
And so with that, there again is, if somebody's meant to find me, it will reach you. It
Yeah.
will reach you. And now, it's like now in my new Instagram account, I only have like 40 people. And it's not about the numbers this time.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that these naysaying moments have really come forward, is it really helps us to discern through what really is it that we're meant to do.
Yeah.
And like my kid said to me, I'm in a moment where I'm really changing a lot of my old patterns to being better patterns. In other words, when I go in the grocery store, I just don't spend. I go in and I pick certain things. And it's been a habit that with my depression I spend money. And that's been in the long past, but it's still, you know and my mother-in-law, when she was here, she said, Natasha, we know that you're a collector. In other words, we went to thrift store, and I might have, sometimes I would walk out, and sometimes I would just get one thing that I was looking for, you know and then other people saying, well, you're not saving money and that kind of stuff. And my son said to me, he goes, Mom, you're doing better. You know that you are doing better than you've ever done before. And it doesn't matter if people say that you're always late when you're not, you know, that they say that you're spending money when you're not, when you're doing these different things and you're not. You keep track of your own self and you do what you know as you're doing. And
Yeah.
then your actions are going to speak louder than your words.
Hmm.
This was my son saying, in metaphorically, it was shorter version than that, but that's basically what he was saying to me was, Mom, it doesn't matter what other people say. Keep doing what feels right to you so that you can make the better choices for you. Yeah, and that's what this whole thing comes down to. Our whole life is about, discerning out there. There's so many freaking truths out there. There's millions of people, so there are millions of truths and perceptions. What is your uniqueness? What is your story that you want to stay with in spite of the world around you?
Yeah. So, and I think too, for some things, you're never too old to, because a lot of people always will have excuse like they have a passion or something that, they go, oh, I'm too old now.
Well, the age
Obviously,
is a naysayer.
I'm not going to be a major league baseball player now. you know, I mean, that's kind of obvious. But, you
But you
know,
can go coach a baseball team,
yeah, right. You could be,
a good baseball team. You
right.
can change the I to how can I do it for we?
Yeah.
And you might get more joy out of helping the kids if it's that, or teenagers, or somebody. If you have a lot of skill, then what a gift you are for helping these other beings.
Yeah. I know a lot of seniors, uh, it's they're seniors before they begin to do like art.
Mhm.
I mean, they've always kind of wanted to, but they've had kids to raise and jobs to do, and they've never been able to do that. And it's so nice to see a lot of in these senior assisted living and stuff places where one of the big things is where the seniors get to do arts and crafts,
Mhm.
build things and do pottery and paint, and that sort of thing. And they get to do that thing that they didn't have time for, couldn't when they were younger.
Mhm.
Um, but that's something too. Maybe in another show, part of the show can be about what do people do when they're about ready to retire, when they feel lost because they think, what am I going to do now? They're so used to getting up, going to work, and that's all they know. And then now when they wake up and they have no job to go to, I think it would be something nice to talk about. I don't know, just kick around ideas. So what do people do? Because a lot of people, if they retire 65, they may have 30 years of their life left. You know,
Yes.
in 30 years. So I think a lot of people get real depressed about that in a way because they just they've never had time to develop a passion for the arts or for doing something. It'd be neat if we had, with the people listening, if anybody's in that age group, if we did a show on that sometime and they for people going through that, and they could say how did they, or people that were successful in figuring out what to do. Um, so
Yeah, I'm not. My husband's almost there. We're the same age.
yeah,
My husband's almost there, but I'm not there.
it's funny too. It's um, the one thing that I always wanted to do too is travel, and that's seems to be opening up now. That's because I'm with a partner, with Patty. She's kind of pulling back a little bit, and we're saying, yeah, we want to travel. Like we just got back from a week in Utah, and we did the hiking in the national park, the Arches National Park.
Hmm.
So for 3 days with my brother, we went on different hikes. Probably they weren't very difficult. We did probably 5 or 6 miles a day, of hikes, and it was just amazing. And then
I
we did
bet.
canyon lands. For anybody that's not been to those parks, it just takes you back in time to the dinosaur time, you know, and you see all this stuff, and it's really really neat. So, and then we went to New York for a week a couple months ago. Just went to Manhattan, took a week vacation, and just walked around Manhattan for a week, and then I'm going to Barcelona and coming up here in about a month and a half with the other Newton is going to be the Newton Institute people. We're having a conference back in Barcelona,
Oh,
and then we're taking a week and going to Portugal. So, you know, some people, naysayers would say, "Oh, it's too expensive. You'll never, you don't have time to go do all that." But we're going to make it happen.
I call some of those situations, if you make it workable and you do it a smart way, that those are those priceless moments. Those are those things that I know that I will not say on my deathbed, boy, I had that opportunity and I wish I would have went.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
I'm this weekend going. I have a session on Saturday, a Life Between Life session. I have to go to Sacramento, so I'm taking 5 days off, and I'm going to make sure I see all my grandkids. So, because I've been slacking off a bit, and when I was in heaven on the other side, they told me, be a better grandfather. So I've been doing that, but I've been sloughing off a little bit. So I want to make sure I'm going to church with my daughter and two of my grandchildren, then having dinner with two of my other daughters and their kids, and playing golf with my brother. So I got to just take time and and do that. So let's get back into the naysayer thing. Let's all try not to be negative. In other words, it's one thing to it's I think it's smart to look at the downside of things as well as the upside of things, but to not let fear get in the way of us doing what we want to do, and not being a naysayer because of our fears onto somebody else of telling, like me with my grandchildren. If I had a grandchild that said, "Oh, I want to be a ballet dancer or something," and me saying, "Oh, there's no money in that," that's probably not a good thing. You'd want to squash the dreams of other people in our life just because of something within ourselves that doesn't think we could have done that or whatever. And then
and that's the thing is, if somebody comes up to me and says that, I really want to be a dancer, I said, oh, brilliant, and I want you to be open to where the universe has an opportunity for you to do on that journey.
That's a great.
I'm so excited to hear what the universe will bring to you along on that journey.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, we don't want to say no, but yet at the same time, it's like, I don't really see you being able to do that, but.
Well, it would be good, wouldn't it, to let's say you have someone in college that they want to do something, and whatever it is that they want to do, and support them by saying, if we're older and wiser, then I would say to them, well, I want you to do some research now. And I want you to, really do some research and find out people that have that job and find out what the downside is, find out what the positive is, try to start finding out what you need to do to make make your dreams come true, and then if you really feel it in your heart, just do it, and if it's not meant for you, you'll find out in the process, but don't not do it just out of fear or because somebody's going to do it,
Well, I hope this conversation was good for those who are watching and that will watch it, because it will be on podcast later. And catch me live, catch me not live. We just hope that this perception and this conversation can be a gift for you in finding your truth and discerning through the naysayer of us personally and or the world around you. Because it is a world out there, and the more that we can be our own advocates, the more we're going to go forward in our life.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to look out of the box and everybody else's box, and they may disagree with the way our box looks, but we still have to do what we're called to do.
Yeah.
Well, Regan, thank you for being here. How can people get a hold of you?
Okay, but that's right there on the screen. Visit theafterlife.com. And because I came in as last minute, let me give a 1 minute thing here. I work with the Newton Institute. We have a process that allows anybody to visit the afterlife. no longer do you have to like almost die and have a near-death experience to have, to break the veil from the other side. In this process we have, which is about 90% successful, anyone can prepare to have a session, go to the other side, visit loved ones that have passed on. You can go before counsel and ask any questions about your life, and they're happy to answer anything. And you can, it's like Heaven 101 over there, and you'll find out that the afterlife is real. You'll find out you get clarification on why you decided to be born, what your mission is, and find out if you're on track or if you need to step it up. And also answer questions about your love life even. I mean, they don't mind. It's all part of your growth in spirit. And there's a whole lot of fun other things you can do over there. So anyway, if anybody watching this, go to my website. There's a bunch of videos. Click on the Life Between Lives tab. If you just want to do a simple past life regression, that's just a simple thing for most people to do. And we're happy to help you there. Also, there's traditional therapy tab. I specialize in anything having to do with PTSD, stress, depression, fears and phobias, that sort of thing. And with these new modalities we have, they work really quick and fast. Some people that have had like phobias or fears for a lifetime, sometimes in less than an hour, it's just completely gone. It's just amazing, all this new stuff that God's allowed us to learn to help people. So visit theafterlife.com. Now, Natasha, now you're under intuitive clarifications now, right?
Intuitive clarifications. It's been that way since the beginning of summer. And I'm so grateful to be here. I've had people I just was helping a couple through relationship stories, and we together had conversations, and it was interesting how they were having we were having a conversation, and then that conversation came into my personal relationship, and I was like going, oh, this sounds familiar, so I know what to do, but how do I bring this around to both of us being able to be healed? And I'm living life, and so with that, I would love to support others in how they live their life, and be there and just give guidance when I can. Sometimes it's that, how do we get through this emotion? How do we get through that story? How do I rewrite the contract? We just are coming through some tremendous energies right now with we got the full moon with the partial eclipse that just happened yesterday and today. And then next Monday, we have the equinox. On my email, I said the solstice, and I meant to say the equinox. And then we have another eclipse with the new moon. So we're starting a new process with these eclipses that are starting the new world of what we're going to be. It's almost like we were working through so much of our old story. Now it's, how do we come into our new fruition? And that's part of this naysaying moment that I've been doing is that, you'll notice that it's not about how do we get rid of our old stories. It's about how do we move into who we're going to be. And that's what we are, is we're moving into instead of moving back through.
Yeah.
And every session I've had lately, it's been about, nope, if we start going down an old story, I say, stop, please. We're starting to go down a rabbit hole. What can we do to get out of this rabbit hole?
Good.
Because it's about moving through into who we are.
Yeah. I think we both found that there's nothing too horrible or terrible that can't be worked through, that you can't get, with all these skills that you and I have and the modalities that we use, pretty much anything you can get behind you. You can get these weights lifted off your shoulder and just start living I would say a lighter life, a life with more joy.
More
and
inspired. More inspired.
There you go.
Yeah.
We're happy to help.
Exactly. And so you can reach me at Natasha or Intuitive Clarifications, or Natasha at Intuitive Clarifications to email me. Blessings to all. And I do pray that everybody finds their love for themselves and for others wherever they can. And remember, your outer world is your outer world. What are you going to do with this inner world? What are you going to do with your inner mind, your inner gut, your inner heart? to help yourself be more inspired and walking the life that you're meant to walk.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, blessings, everyone. Please come and visit me on my short videos on my YouTube channel, now on Instagram, Twitter, X, and or Twitter and X are the same thing, and TikTok and LinkedIn. So I hope that my little videos are helping you out. And please be back with me next Wednesday at 4 o'clock Pacific time.
And Natasha, I'll see you in a month.
Yay. Yes. Are you going to be in Barcelona?
Oh my gosh.
Well, we'll talk about that. Blessings,
We'll talk about
everyone. We'll talk to you later. Bye now.
Okay, bye.